Hello, 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 everyone. Tad Stevens, MediaMarket.tv here. Today, we are going to interview Brandon Scholten in Denver, Colorado about property management. Brandon, how are you doing today?
Doing great, Tad. Good morning.
Good morning. Okay, well, let's dive right in. Brandon, tell us a little bit about the property management industry, what it consists of, how it works, and things like that.
Sure. Yeah, so property management in its most basic form is just anyone who has a property they want help leasing. So they'd hire a property manager, and it can be the full spectrum of, maybe right when you get the property, they'd help with fix-ups and getting it rent ready, and then marketing the property, showing the property to prospective tenants, talking, interacting with those tenants, accepting applications, screening applicants, selecting an applicant, leasing the property to them, and then from there, managing the maintenance, collecting rent, passing that on to the owner. So yeah, nowadays you do see a little bit of an a la carte approach from more than you probably used to. Of some people might just want help with, say, screening applicants or some portion of that, but that's basically what it is. It can be anything from, maybe 500 plus units in a skyscraper, or maybe you have a carriage house out back that you want help with renting. So
Okay, so pretty broad, sounds like. In an industry that's that diversified, how would I go about finding a property manager? What's the best approach for that?
sure, yeah, that's a great question. There's certainly lots of ways you can find one. You can look online. Perhaps if you used a real estate agent to buy the property, they might have a recommendation of someone. You could even look, maybe walk your neighborhood, look for rent signs, and some of those might be managed by someone who's looking to add to their portfolio. Referrals if you know somebody else who hires a manager for their company. So the one approach I don't recommend is calling up your underemployed friend looking to make some extra money and have him help you with the process. It is a agency relationship, so when you hire a property manager, they're out there acting on your behalf. So there's a lot of liability there, and you want to make sure you're dealing with somebody who knows what they're doing and they're not going to get you in trouble. And it also is regulated by the Real Estate Commission here in Colorado, so you want to make sure you find someone who's licensed properly.
Okay, great. Okay, that kind of leads in. You may have already answered some of this, but when I find a property manager, how do I qualify them? How do I tell that they're not going to rip me off and do a good job for me?
Yeah, it's very important. Uh, I think a good starting point is ask to see a copy of their lease and look through that and see, what's in there, what isn't in there. See if they're addressing some of the hot topics in the industry and the different laws that surround it, like the fair housing. And a good one that's just recent here in Colorado is the Amendment 64 and marijuana. And how's that addressed and how's that handled in the lease? So that's a good starting point. Look at some of those. And another big issue is look at their profile of properties. So there can be a huge difference between managing, say a multi-tenant unit with it's got mechanical systems in the building that need to be maintained and serviced. You've got to deal with, tenants' interactions with each other and disputes there, that kind of thing, versus a single-family home has its own challenges as well. They're here in Colorado. If you don't stay on top of making sure a yard is properly watered and that kind of thing, you can lose a yard, and that's a lot of work and money to get that back looking nice. So you'd want somebody who has experience in that regard. Maybe another example would be if you own a condo or something like that, you'll want somebody with experience dealing with HOAs, because they have a lot of control there, and some of them don't really particularly like you renting your unit out. So if you don't handle that process properly and don't have a manager who understands all that, yeah, you can end up with a target on your back from the HOA and things like that. So yeah, there's a lot to consider in that regard. And then just look at somebody's history and what they've how long they've been in the business, and just talk to them and get a feel for if they know the ins and outs and have come across a lot of the things that you come across in this business and solving problems and that kind of thing. So
Okay, super. Outstanding. Well, everyone, that is all the questions that I have today. But before we leave, Brandon, excuse me, tell us a little bit about yourself and your firm.
Sure. Well, I actually kind of grew up around this business. My parents had, I think at the peak, had about 55 doors that they owned, and my mom managed all of them. So even as a kid, I was, spent my Saturdays sometimes helping her clean out a vacant unit or something like that. And so it's just something I saw a lot in high school. I, would do the maintenance on them and that kind of thing. So about 6 years ago, was when I first got into the business. I was working with some investors on some other things, and they ended up with a rental portfolio that they asked me to handle. So I set up a company, and started doing it, and have grown it from there. So one little thing that our company offers that's just a little bit unconventional and can be a good solution for people is we will actually lease the property directly from the owner. So sometimes for people who don't want the ups and downs of vacancy and different things like that, we'll guarantee the rent for a long period of time, maybe 5 or 10 years, depending on what the need is there, and that can be a solution for some people. It also takes out that agency portion, so no longer am I an agent in between them and the tenant living there. I'm their tenant, so they don't have to worry about that as well. So yeah, I'd love to talk to anyone about the business and help in any way I can. So the company is Scholten Rentals. Our website is scholtenrentals.com, and the phone number is below. So.
All right, so it's a really neat idea. I hadn't heard that, where you actually lease the property and then you are the tenant of the owner. That sounds super. Well, everyone, that is all I have today. Really appreciate everybody watching. And Brandon, do you have any closing comments?
I don't think I do, but thanks so much for your time, Tad, and would love to talk to anyone out there who's wanting to talk about the business.
Okay, sounds super. Everyone, this is Tad Stevens, MediaMarket.tv, and we will see you next time.